And welcome to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau. The sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University and its athletic programs. A lot of the winter sports are starting to wind down a little bit, getting a little closer to the end of the seasons, but some of the late winter early spring sports are just ramping up. Tennis is one of them. That'll be getting underway in a few weeks. Track and field already has been underway for a couple of weeks, and we have Shawn McMahon, the head coach for the indoor track and field teams, outdoor track and field as well, the head coach, and Coco Booker, his All-American senior shot putter, joining us on the program today. So welcome, Shawn and Coco. And Coco, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit how you got started with track, especially indoor track. I know you're from St. Paul.
Yep. I started actually when I was 10. My sister was a runner, and the coach saw me, and he asked if I wanted to throw, and I gave it a try, and I somehow got started on shot put, and it worked. And then I just went from there. Started through in high school, and then came to St. Mary's, and Sarah Harstead actually saw me and asked if I wanted to throw, and I said yeah. So then I started throwing.
Coco, I was going to say, why St. Mary's? How did you end up coming to St. Mary's, and what are you majoring in, and what do you hope to do after graduation here in May?
I'm a sport management major. So St. Mary's, I visited here. I liked it a lot. It just felt right. I felt comfortable, so I decided to give it a try, and I loved it right away. And then it just went from there. It just blossomed, I guess, and I've had a really good time.
Let's embarrass her a little bit, Shawn. Talk a little bit about Coco's progression from her freshman year coming here into now her senior year, where some of us are expecting at least a couple all-conference performances from her. Just talk about her progression from freshman year to this year.
Well, I think the greatest difference I've seen is just the strength. I mean, it takes time to develop strength, and her commitment in the weight room, especially gradually biting off more and more and more in the weight room, getting more aggressive about that. I think not only has it helped her throw the shot put further, but she maybe even agree that it's allowed her to stay healthy longer. And so that progression is what I've seen, is just physically mature, and then being able to resist, I guess, those injuries, become stronger, and then really from an emotional standpoint is the leader of that group, and really the emotional kind of centerpiece of our team, really is the way I look at Coco.
Coco, talk a little bit about the training that you do put in, because I know you're in the weight room a lot, and it's not only that, but you're throwing a lot in the mornings. Just talk a little bit about how you've gotten to where you're at right now.
I never lifted in high school, so coming here, you have to really put time and effort, like Shawn said, and it was hard to begin with, but now it's just kind of like a routine. It's like a lifestyle almost. We lift beginning of the season 4 times a week, and now it's down to 3 times a week, but we're still lifting for bulk, if you will. So it's not easy, but it really does pay off. And we throw 50 to 40 throws a day, 5 days a week. So I mean, we're conditioned to do it. It's like I said, it's not easy. It's fun. I love it, but it's hard work, and it takes a lot of emotional and physical strength.
Part of that dedication too, I know I've seen you guys many times. I mean, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and you're in the rack throwing. I mean, there's a lot of dedication that goes into a sport like track and field, and also especially in the throws.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is. 6 a.m.s aren't easy. They're not fun, but it's worth it. I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything.
And Coco, I'm wondering, when you heard me introduce you as a senior all-conference shot putter, what was going through your mind? Because you took 2nd place in the indoor championships last season. And there's 2 different components there, senior and all-conference.
The senior is kind of tough. I'm going to miss it. It's been my lifestyle for the past 4 years, and since I was growing up. I'm going to miss my team and throwing. All-conference, it's nice to hear it. Hopefully we can hear it again. I'm just working towards it, hopefully getting better every single meet, and see what happens in a couple weeks at conference.
Does that put any extra pressure on you, Coco, in terms of, you reached that pinnacle last year, you were 2nd place, there's still a spot to get above that, but do you feel any extra pressure because you want to make sure to at least equal what you did last year?
At times I do, but I try to overcome it. I know that I can do it if I put my mind to it, so I do feel pressure at times, and I tell myself, just take it meet by meet, and 3 throws at a time, if I get 6, I'm lucky. So I just go out there and try to throw my best each meet. It's good.
Shawn, kind of a breakout year for Coco last year. You know, we mentioned the second place in the shot. Were you surprised by that? Number one, and number two, where do you see her her potential this year?
I wasn't surprised. I think last year it had a lot to do with assistant coach we had named Michelle Potter, who I think not only with her knowledge and just kind of her experience, but I think she really got that group energized, and she got, you know, athletes like Coco excited about the lifting. And I think when you see the fruit on the tree and you're able to harvest it the way you do when you see these throws landing out there around 13 meters close to, all of a sudden it buys you a little more excitement to get back in the weight room. It buys you more excitement to maybe get up early and do those 6 a.m.s like she's talking about. So that success kind of breeds it a little bit, and you know, I give Michelle Potter a lot of the credit for that.
Shawn, you do have different coaches. You've got Michelle coaches the throwers. You have a pole vault coach. You have a sprints and hurdles coach. As the head coach, how do you try to manage the team, and how do you let some of those assistant coaches have some authority with some of those specific spots? I
really try and act like a mini athletic director, and I hand over the control of those groups to the event coaches. Michelle has been replaced. She's moved on to some professional endeavors. So this year, Jenna Briggan, who was a thrower at St. Thomas a few years ago, is coaching that group. But, you know, like with Jenna in her first year in that role, I really try and just hand her the control of it. And as she has problems with it, maybe try and help her sift through that. But, you know, on a daily basis, those are the people that the kids go to for practice, and I hope that that's the person that they build trust with. And of course, they're the expert in that field. I love watching the shot put, and I know when it looks good. I know when it looks right. I just can't always pick it apart when it looks bad. So that's what Jenna's here for.
You know, question for both of you, and Coco, I'll start with you on it. In that we kind of hinted that really there's these different components to a track team. You've got your sprinters, you've got your throwers, you've got all these different areas. How hard is it to consider that the whole team? Because a lot of times you don't see some of the other people for practice every day.
Right. Obviously, your individual event group is your main group, but you still you cheer for everyone at the meet. And really the meets are the time where you get to focus on everyone else, not just yourself and your whole team. So that aspect is really nice. And you can see your other friends running, like Peter Borash and Ryan Weingartner and Jake Leckler and all the other seniors and the upcoming freshmen and sophomores. It is kind of hard to realize that you are one whole team, but then you kind of step back and you realize that we are the St. Mary's Cardinal track and field team, not just the throws. So.
And Shawn, and how about from your standpoint?
I'd say that's my greatest challenge, is trying to unify, you know, those groups, because you know, their challenges are very different, their training are very different, and it's hard to really tell, okay, you throwers, the only place you can do this is in our rack, and you can only do it at 6 a.m. And then we've got distance runners who can use, you know, the great outdoors at any time of day. And so sometimes just to get people in the same place at the same time, and I'll tell my team this a lot, that I'm kind of like the father, where just to get everybody in one room at one time is a big deal for me, even if they're fighting and not getting along, or even, you know, just maybe the way my mom does at the holidays.
You know, and Coco, it was interesting, we talked before we started taping this about you're excited about this weekend going up to the border battle because you're leaving a day early and kind of get that night to be a group, and talk a little bit more about that.
Normally the only time we travel and stay is indoor and outdoor conference, but now it's different because a lot of different people get to go, because before you have to qualify for conference, and now the whole team pretty much gets to go. So it is a time to kind of break out of your event group and get to know freshmen, sophomores you don't really know on a day-to-day basis. So it is fun. It's relaxing because we don't have to, you know, drive or pay for anything. So it's a good time. I really enjoy traveling.
Shawn, we were talking too a little bit different this year. Actually, it started last year, that there's no more automatic qualifiers or provisional qualifiers, because we were kind of hoping that Coco would just throw the shot and automatically qualify to get to nationals. But talk a little bit about that change and how it does kind of affect somebody like Coco, who's really right on that bubble of making it to the nationals.
Sure. Well, it just has a lot to do, or everything to do, with the way the NCAA pays for athletes to go to national championships. They used to just get a total number, and then they'd allocate from events. Sometimes if maybe pole vault only had 15, they could take 20 or so in another event. They decided a couple years ago to do away with the qualifying standards and just take 13 women or 13 men in every 13 men in every event and 15 women in every event. So what you do is you watch that list grow every week, and rather than putting your mark out there and taking some time off and knowing you're going to be at the national meet, very few athletes are able to kind of rest on their laurels. They have to almost keep competing every week just to see their name in the list.
And do you like that?
I like it. I think it's a lot more transparent. With the subjectiveness that was in the old process, you could see that some events would sometimes get biased based on the people on the selection committee or things like that. So I believe that's probably where it stems from, is the NCAA just wanted to make it a little more clear about who was going, and it's crystal clear now.
And one thing that we have to make sure that's very well known is Coco's not the only person on this track and field team. Talk a little bit about some of the other people that really are kind of stepping out of the shadows, so to speak, and kind of making a name for themselves so far this year.
Coco mentioned a couple of them, seniors, Jake Traxler, Peter Borash, those senior guys coming off an outstanding cross-country season, St. Mary's best cross-country season in history. And then we've got a youngster, Aaron Haley, from that cross-country team who's really good, and of course John Souchere and some other depth in that area. So on the men's side, certainly that's our strength. On the women's side, Coco's little sister Maya has already thrown herself into the mix in the weight throw competition in our conference. And then we've got a few young up-and-comers who have already posted performances in the top 10, Laura Schomer, Katie Stoles, and then, we've got some other distance runners, mid-distance runners that are looking to maybe get on that list this weekend at Superior.
Okay, Coco. Coach brought it up before I was going to, but talk a little bit about having your sister on the team, because it's got to be kind of nice, and her being a thrower as well. She had a great performance in that first meet. Just talk a little bit about what it's like to have your sister there and really kind of competing with her.
I've always had her on team. We were basketball players. We always have competition within ourselves, but it's really nice. It's nice to have someone there that I'm really comfortable with, and that we can argue and kind of compete against each other, but then really want each other to do well. Of course, there's a little bit of jealousy if we both do really well, but it's fun. I really like having her on the team, and we're both kind of goofy together. So, I mean, our teammates are always laughing, and we're always trying to make everyone happy. So it's like having your best friend with you doing the thing that you love, and that's one of the best things about having Maya with me.
Shawn, talk about how you might rely on somebody like Coco and some of your other seniors for that leadership standpoint. She brings a lot to the team from an intangible standpoint.
Yep.
And I know every year you have to replace that, but how do you and what do you ask of the seniors?
Well, I think they sort of step into places. Not unlike the way Sarah Harstad led that group a couple years ago with hard work and personality. Coco does the same thing in her own way, and I think I said earlier she's kind of the emotional centerpiece of our team, and I really see that not just because she's gregarious and likable to everybody, but she happens to be our sort of like top performer right now. She's the one with probably the best national aspirations, and so when Coco throws, everybody on our team know, hey, is the shot put going, or should we go watch Coco? That might not happen for everybody on our team, but when Coco's thrown, everybody on the team knows, and even if they don't get over there to see it, they're asking, how far was that? And leading with example and personality, you can't beat what she's doing for us.
Coco, I saw you at the basketball game on Wednesday night, and it's great to see athletes supporting some of the other athletes on campus.
Yeah, it's fun. My roommates, I live with 3 of the girls' basketball team, and it's really been fun to get to know the whole team and get involved in their kind of team aspect, and just to watch them on their ride. I mean, they're doing really, really well. So I really hope they can do a lot of good things in the next 5 regular season games, and hopefully, like we've been talking about, maybe a national bid, and it'd be awesome. But it's just fun to go see different sports and different teams and get away from the individual sports and go back to the team aspect.
I think from my standpoint, and that you see that support, and you got to credit the throwers, because your whole group is very boisterous and definitely gives especially the women's basketball team that extra person. That home court advantage is is important, and I think you guys really kind of notch that up a little bit with just the way you cheer and you're there to support them.
Yeah, we're pretty loud. We make our presence known every time we are anywhere, in the rack or in the gym. But we just like to have fun, like to support everyone else, because we know if everyone knew what throwing was, I'm sure they would support us too. And it's just to have that support system from your fellow classmates and schoolmates it's a good feeling.
Now, Shawn, before we wrap up here, I'm personally looking forward to the outdoor season because that means the weather's warmer, for one thing. So when does the outdoor season begin for you?
Easter is kind of at a weird time for track. It's I think in late March. So that without competing on Easter, we really don't start until the first weekend of April.
Okay.
So we have a nice spring break at St. Mary's, second week of March, and then we have 2 or 3 weeks of straight training, and then we'll jump into that outdoor meet, first one at UW La Crosse, April the 4th, I believe.
Okay. Well, we'll have you on the show back then to talk about the outdoor season.
Sounds great.
All right, Shawn McMahon, Coco Booker from the track and field teams here at St. Mary's joining us today. Stay tuned. Donny and I will be right back to recap the previous week in St. Mary's sports right here on Channel 25.
We're doing things in bus magazines and the newspapers and things like that, and it's just like we seemed like we needed a different media, and we thought, TV, perfect. Laura, she is awesome. She came out the first time. She was very, very personable, tends to your needs. I mean, anything that you needed, she was right there. I literally, seriously, have been wanting to make more commercials just because it was such a great, fun process. I would recommend HBC to anybody.
Call Laura for details on how to get a free commercial for your business.
A state-of-the-art fiber optic network. Sure, you've all heard that. But what does it mean? Well, if you're an HBC customer,
It's television in crystal clear high definition and whole home DVR. Blazing fast internet speeds, perfect for gaming or movies. Phone service with your choice of features, including unlimited long distance. And now, HBC has expanded service throughout much of southeast Minnesota. Call today and see what it's like to be on a state-of-the-art fiber optic network with a local company receiving national recognition for their service.
We're a small town store. Everything relies on our internet, our pumps, our registers, everything. So we need somebody that is willing to go that extra mile for us. Jill is awesome. She is very personable. When we call them, they react to us as if we are top on their list. And to me, that is #1. I've had excellent service.
Call Jill and find out what excellent business service is like. So you know how some cable companies have these bundle deals where if you purchase their TV, telephone, and internet together, you save? At HBC, we're taking it one step further. Get your TV and phone service through HBC, and we'll give you internet absolutely free. That's right, free. And you still save money. Some packages can save you up to $660 a year, and it's all backed by our 30-day guarantee. The best part? Free internet is available to all customers, new and existing. Go to hbci.com to see which free internet package is right for you, or call 888-474-9995.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. It was good to have Shawn McMahon and Coco Booker on from the track and field team. Now, that's one of the late winter spring sports that is just starting. Donny, tennis, men's and women's tennis, that's also a sport. They're practicing now, and their first matches will be in a week or two.
Yeah, actually the women's tennis team kicks off their season on Saturday. They head up to Bemidji for a match up there against Bemidji State, and then the men will kick off next weekend. They've got an extremely busy weekend next weekend where they've got 4 matches in 3 days. So it's hard to believe that February 1, and we're already talking about the spring sports, but baseball, softball kickoff on February 1. They can officially start practice that day, and then they'll head out to Tucson, Arizona in early March, and then we're cruising with spring sports. And the hard part is this is the carryover. So you've got our winter sports who are gearing up for hopefully some playoff runs, and you've got the spring sports starting up. So this is a crossover that can be pretty hectic for campus, for our RAC, for making sure that everybody has a place to practice, and it's actually a fun time to be on campus.
Yeah, it was a fun time to be on campus Wednesday as well, as that women's basketball team won its 8th consecutive game in a big victory over a good team in Gustavus that was right behind them in the conference standings. And so now, Donny, the Cardinals, as we see the results there, they beat St. Kate's last week, and Gustavus Right now, they are tied for second place in the conference, and they still have Concordia coming up, and they still have St. Ben's coming up on the schedule. So a conference championship is certainly not out of the question for the Cardinals.
No
team.
question, and they're battling right now, and they're gonna be in that spot now. Coach Pearson will probably slap my wrist for this, but not looking past Saturday's game against Carleton, but on Sunday they've got Concordia here at St. Mary's, and there's not going to be a bigger game on the schedule than that one against the Cobbers, because a win there, and all of a sudden you move into a tie for first place, and that conference championship becomes even closer within their grasp. So they certainly have to take care of business on Saturday, but you've got that big game on Sunday against Concordia. Then you play McAllister, and then you've got, in another week, you've got the St. Ben's game. The nice thing about the St. Thomas game, the Concordia game, the Gustavus game, and the St. Ben's game, we get them all at home. And like we were talking with Coco there, there's definitely a home court advantage right now. The fans are filling up the seats and making their presence known, and any athlete will tell you that that means all the difference in the world to a team, and they feed off of that, and hopefully they can just continue to play really good basketball, because right now they're defensively, this is by far probably the best defensive team I've seen St. Mary's women's basketball have in my 18 years here. They are just a phenomenal defensive team, and then you've got Jess Thone and Courtney Early and Jamie Steffley doing a nice job on the offensive side, and you've got Darcy Rice has been a great surprise. She's been raining in threes from all over the place, which that's such a great weapon to have. And Sarah Schoenthaler has been doing her part. You just keep going. Octavia Brown, she's one of those that doesn't score a lot, but is so good on the defensive end. She's so quick and just provides such a great spark on the defensive end that there's no question that this team is winning because of their defense.
Well, and I think, that freshman point guard in Bridget Pefke, she's not in the scoring column much, so easy to overlook her, but can she ever lead the fast break, and does she ever know how to feed the right players and really generate some quarterback set offense?
No question. And what that does, too, it takes some of that pressure off of Jess Thone. Jess doesn't have to be the point guard anymore and is back in more of her familiar position where she can worry about shooting the basketball, and they're so deep. We've talked about that all year. They're such a deep team and are just doing such a great job of as Coach Pearson says, of trusting each other and making sure that they're going to be in the places that they need to be in. And I think the best thing that you can say about this team right now is they're staying grounded. You're sitting at it with a team that's 13-3 in the conference and 16-3 overall, have won 8 in a row. Be easy for them to float up off the ground a little bit and get a little, feel a little good about themselves. But they're focused and know what's at stake for them, and they want to continue to keep playing well. And conference title is up for grabs. Home court advantage in the playoffs is up for grabs. So there's a lot to play for, and hopefully. A win on Saturday should lock up a playoff spot, so they'll take that off the plate and won't have to worry about that, and can focus on those other two things. And hopefully, we're talking conference title.
Yeah, definitely big weekend with Carleton on Saturday, Concordia Sunday. Both games at the St. Mary's University Gymnasium. If you want to go up and check out the St. Mary's women's team, the men's team, Donnie, they struggled against Gustavus, and really the offense struggled in that one, scoring just 43 points.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of misleading that game in itself. You look at first half, St. Mary's shot 55% from the field. In that first half, the problem is that turnovers really cost them. They weren't able to attempt enough field goal attempts to stay with a team as good as Gustavus. Gustavus is one of those teams that does not turn the ball over, so you can't afford to be making any mistakes because they're going to make you pay for it. And really, like I said, St. Mary's shoots 55% from the field in the first half, and they're still trailing by 16. So it was one of those games that St. Mary's had trouble keeping control of the basketball, and Gustavus made them pay for that. But again, they're getting some solid performances. What they need to do is they need to be able to put that full 40-minute game together, and I know that Coach Landrum is still trying to get that out of his players to be consistent and to play for a complete 40 minutes. And until they do that, they're gonna struggle. And right now, that's been the issue is they haven't been able to put that whole game together.
And again, home doubleheader this weekend. They've got Carleton on Saturday at 3 o'clock, and then Concordia on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So a couple of home games. next Wednesday also at home, so a 3-game homestand coming up, and we'll have that game next Wednesday against McAllister right here on HBC Channel 25. The pregame will come your way for that at about 7:15. Donnie, in men's hockey action, a disappointing weekend against Augsburg, a couple of losses, which sets up this weekend now against St. John's. Now these games against St. John's this weekend will be huge, and unfortunately both are on the road up in St. Cloud.
Yeah, I think if you talk to Coach Moore, you know, he's going to be the first to tell you that they kind of let two of them slip away on last weekend with those losses to Augsburg, 6-3 and 2-0. The 6-3 game or 7-3 game, what a bizarre first period there. 9 goals were scored in the first period. St. Mary's found themselves trailing 6-3 after one, and just could never recover. It really sets up a huge weekend this weekend, and St. John's is playing extremely well. They're 3-0-3 in their last 6 games, so they're going to be certainly a formidable opponent who has already beaten the Cardinals. They beat them in the MIAC Showcase, so a lot at stake. And yes, as you said, they are on the road both games. The nice thing about the games being on the road is at the National Hockey Center in St. Cloud, which is an Olympic-sized sheet of ice, very similar to St. Mary's. So hopefully St. Mary's will be able to use their speed to their advantage and pick up a couple of wins. Everything's at stake now. I think the losses to Augsburg kind of took St. Mary's out of the title hunt, but right now they're tied for 4th in the conference standings. And, you know, it's a big weekend against St. John's. And then you've got Concordia in 2 weeks and Gustavus, which is right there as well. We've got them next weekend. So there's a lot to play for, a lot at stake, and St. Mary's has just got to continue to find a way to get a W, especially this weekend.
What is coming up huge, as we saw the conference standings there, St. Mary's has 2 wins over Bethel, and it's the top 5 teams that make the playoffs, and Bethel is the team sort of behind St. Mary's, trying to catch St. Mary's for that final playoff spot. So, you know, we would have the tiebreaker in that
Well, and the
situation.
beauty, you know, we talked about it last week. You know, you look at the standings there, and we've got 11 points, and Bethel's got 10. It goes back to that 0-0 tie against St. Thomas. That was a huge tie. Even though it would have been nice to get that win, you know, that 1 point right now is putting us, you know, point ahead of Bethel, and like you said, we hold the tiebreaker over them, so it does give us a nice spot to be in. But again, this weekend is huge. If we can get a couple wins here against St. John's, we're all of a sudden you know, back in the driver's seat in terms of playoff contention. So a lot to play for with time running out.
Yeah. And finally, Donnie, we saw the women's team in action here on Channel 25 last Friday night, a 3-2 win over Augsburg. Then on Saturday night against the Augies, the Cardinals get out to a 3-1 lead and then have to hang on and settle for a 3-3 tie.
Yeah, the only negative there is that they were out 3-1. And gave that lead up and tied 3-3. But a very, very good weekend for the Cardinals. A weekend that they really needed. They needed to get back into the scoring column, and then 2 to get back into the win column. And for them to take 3 of 4 points against the Augies is huge, especially because, you know, St. Mary's is still in the hunt as well. And you know, they've got a big weekend this weekend against St. Ben's. Here at St. Mary's, both games are at the St. Mary's Ice Arena, and you know, a couple more wins like that, you pick up 4 more points, and you've grabbed 7 points in their last 2 weekends. That would be very big. Is their quest to get into that top 5? I'll give a lot of credit to Brianna Peterson. She had a goal and assist on Friday night, and then she had another goal on Saturday. So she continues to be that spark plug, that scoring leader for the Cardinals, and hopefully it continues this weekend because they need to get a couple of wins this weekend.
All right, so good luck to all of the St. Mary's teams. It's a busy, busy weekend, no question about that. And also, don't forget, next Wednesday night we'll have men's basketball right here on HBC Channel 25 when they take on McAllister beginning at 7:15. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest on HBC.